Thanks for being with us. From Tech Impact, we take you straight now to Insight for this week. This is on the CBN overturning of a policy on ATM charges. This act has thrown up issues of consistency in the Nigeria policies and whether or not, if the Nigeria banks were not declaring huge profits within the period the charges were eradicated. Against this background, our correspondent sought answers and reactions from the public on the legitimacy of these actions considered anti-people by many.
Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has directed that come September 2014, bank customers will pay for cash withdrawals made on other banks' automated teller machines, popularly known as ATM. The reintroduction of the ATM charges come almost 2 years after the CBN and the deposit money banks cancelled the 100 Naira ATM charge in December 2012. According to the CBN, the action became necessary to relieve banks of the burden of the huge cost of cash transaction.
It's quite ridiculous, and as far as I'm concerned, it's absolutely unnecessary. It also, to a certain extent, re-emphasizes the lack of continuity in governance, lack of inconsistency in government policy, because how do you explain the fact that not even up to a year after it was these charges were cancelled by the former CBN governor that is now being reintroduced? The reasons they are giving for, as far as I'm concerned, are flimsy.
The new directive for the reintroduction of the charge was posted on the CBN website, but instead of 100 Naira per withdrawal, customers using other banks' ATM will now have to pay 65 Naira at the fourth withdrawal from another bank's ATM.
The banks have always canvassed the position that, look, in the course of that exchange, somewhere along the way they incur cost. Somewhere along the way, the people at the back end that are service providers, people who provide the link between one bank and the other, people along the line who switch those transactions, and quite a number of things. Whether 65 Naira now represents the true cost of providing that transaction switching is now what's debatable.
Already, banks have started sensitizing their customers via emails and SMS on the new policy, which does not seem to go down well with majority of the banking community.
We people are angry about the situation where, because the former CBN governor, he said they cancelled it, and we are all happy about it. But later when we had the new CBN that said CBN governor that said they want to introduce maybe 65 Naira or whatever, we don't even support it at all, and we don't want it. We don't want it.
Although the CBN said the charge will become effective on the fourth ATM withdrawal in a month, thus making the first 3 withdrawals on other banks' ATMs within the month free, experts argue that the policy is capable of reversing the gains of the cashless policy.
If I have to pay 65 Naira now for the 4th transaction I made, as against not having to pay, I have to think twice before I use my ATM. I'd rather prefer to carry cash or which other means of payment. But it also goes back to the same thing I was saying, really, that most times our problem is not the lack of policy, but the confusion inherent in the system. That less than a year or 2 years, another CBN policy is rolling out basically to counteract the first one. So what are you trying to tell us? That with each CBN governor, or Nigerians should expect a turnaround, a total change in the financial policies.
Others also say the policy can be a major drawback for financial inclusion, as some adults who are already beginning to embrace the banking system for the ease provided by the ATM may develop cold feet.
What are we getting from it? We are not getting anything from it. Even instead of all the banks to pay us interest, they are taking our money again.
We are giving them our money to make business, to do business, so it should be free. That 65 Naira, I'm not in support of it.
These Nigerians have voiced their opinion, but it behoves on the central bank to heed their call and review this high regulatory power for private profit.